It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Philippe Salah. He's the CEO of Dental Monitoring. Born in France, Philippe received his MS degree in bioinformatics and his PhD in biophysics from Ecole Polytechnique of Paris. Philippe is the co-founder and CEO of Dental Monitoring, the world's first remote monitoring platform for dentistry. Founded in 2015 in Paris, France. Today, DM has 300 employees and offices in Paris, Austin, Texas, London, Hong Kong, Sydney. Today, there are over 6,000 dentists and orthodontists are registered on the DM platform, and it is one of the fastest growing companies in dentistry. Over 500,000 patients have been monitored, and this number is growing exponentially. Over 500 million intraoral images have been captured on DM platform. The DM's artificial intelligence software detects more than 180 plus clinical situations from intraoral photos taken by the patient with the DM's mobile app. Prior to DM and straight out from finishing his PhD, Philippe co-founded Harmony, a fully customizable digital lingual orthodontic system. In 2011, Harmony was purchased by American Orthodontics, the world's largest privately held manufacturer of orthodontic appliances. Dental Monitoring has over 100 dentists and orthodontists as investors, as well as Straumann, the world's largest dental implant company, and Venturion, the Europe's largest investment fund. My God, Philippe, it's so nice to have you on the show. But as an American, I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, you have offices in Paris, London, Hong Kong, Sydney. And for America, you picked Austin, Texas. How did Austin, Texas make the list with Paris, London, Hong Kong, and Sydney? I figured it'd at least be New York City. But was it the weather? What was it about Austin?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. Our first office in US was Costa Mesa. And the problem is it was a mess to fly there. It was really a mess to fly there from Paris. Then we thought, okay, let's go to New York. It's easy, it's quick flight, it's 8 hours from Paris. We can go there like once a week, once every 2 weeks to manage the team there and to grow the market. But the problem is basically you can't really serve correctly the US with not being on every time zone. So we say, okay, why not Denver? Why not Austin? Austin appeared to us like to be a very fast growing cities. We have found beautiful offices and the staff. We very quickly grow a team there. We've got our biggest client in next to Austin, Smile Doctors, which is our biggest American client. And so we decided.
What is your biggest American client? What would you say the name was? What?
Smile Doctors. Smile Doctors.
Oh, Smile Doctors is your largest American clinic or American customer?
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, you are so right. For people that have to fly all the time, and dentists don't live in airplanes like the traveling salesman does, but all four corners of the United States, whether you're in Seattle or San Diego or the New York or Florida, I mean, 3/4 of the pie is not America. It's the four corners, like a loaf of bread. And if you have to service the whole country and fly around, it's Chicago and Dallas. And I mean, that is the reason Chicago and Dallas, and you went south of Dallas, but you're so right. I mean, the flights out of San Diego, and San Diego still only lets them have one runway for noise pollution. It's like, my gosh, it's terrible. But man, glad to have you on this show, that you are just crushing it. So tell us your journey. How did you go from lingual orthodontics to dental monitoring?
I think it's a natural way because, when we did Harmony Lingual System, basically we were a very strong lab servicing orthodontists all over the globe. And we were a very expensive customized appliance. And one of my main issues is when I receive a call from a doctor telling me, Philippe, your appliance is nice, but why the teeth is moving in that direction? Why this is happening? And in fact, you can't say to a doctor, yes, doctor, the problem is coming from this. You barely don't know. The problem can come from the impression, can come from the patient, can come from the doctor, can come from the lab, can come from many other situation. So at that point, I really realized that we will never be able to produce a perfect appliance. But if we can capture a problem early enough inside the process of a treatment, a problem is not anymore a problem, it's a quick fix. And it's where comes the idea of dental monitoring. It's basically when you don't see your patient, it's at that particular moment that problems happen. And if you capture the problem, quick fix, you see the patient at the right time, then you are back on track. And that works. When we really created the company, 2014, we speak to our to all our customers that we knew very strongly at that time. We expressed the idea and we built the company. It works pretty quickly and pretty well.
And your lingual appliance was the same market being tapped for Invisalign or clearless liners. I mean, they just didn't want it to show, and you were on that early digital ortho lab. So basically the Harmony, you sold that to ASO International Orthodontic Laboratory Services in Japan.
No, I sold my company at that time to American Orthodontics, to AO, based in Wisconsin, and was servicing the whole globe. And basically, one of our strongest market was Japan with ASO. And later on, American Orthodontics sold the company to ASO because the fastest growing market was Japan.
Wow,
it was post me.
Yeah. And do you miss that market, the orthodontic market? I mean,
we are still very strong in orthodontics. It's still our first market, and we are servicing lingual patients, tons of aligner patients, and traditional braces patients, and more now we are serving general dentistry, perio, every field of the dentistry. Dentistry world.
So dentistry started in France. I mean, we were barber surgeons until Pierre Fauchard got rid of the barber part, and it's just an amazing journey to where when I was in school, I still was. That was, I've been out of school 32 years, but there was a dentist there who had graduated from dental school in 1927, and he was telling me that when he got out of school, I was asking about the Great Depression. He was telling me that when he got out of school, they were all still outside barber surgeons. And then 29, the stock market crashed. The Depression was 32 to 36. And he said downtown St. Joe, Missouri, basically all got boarded up, and the real estate got so cheap that finally the dentists moved inside and dropped the barber and became the surgeon, like Pierre Fauchard did a century earlier in France. But it's amazing how these trends, Pierre Fauchard didn't affect the world overnight. It took a long time, but I'm still old enough to know doctors that still practice outside. It's just, we've come a long way, baby. I wonder what Pierre Fauchard would say if he came back to life and saw what you were doing on dental monitoring. He probably wouldn't even recognize his own profession, would he? So
there is lots of French technology which start in France and scale in US. It's basically very often the French problem. We are good in inventing things, but we don't know how to make business. So we are very poor in business. So then come American people, and then boom, they blow it up. They scale it. They make it very good for the market. And I'm trying to prove this wrong for the first time. I'm trying to prove that also French entrepreneur can work in the US. And today, US is our strongest market. Is more than half of our sales.
So do you really believe what you just said, that France really doesn't have as good of an entrepreneurial business culture? They can invent.
Have a very good entrepreneur to create things. Very often, you should see the startup environment in France is amazing. Is one of the strongest. I think is the second or third place on the planet about number of startups created. But the problem is very often at one point when it needs to be scaled, like we very often see it needs to go to US. So very often French entrepreneurs move to US, create their headquarters in the US, and it's where they perform. And dental monitoring, it's a bit the same. Again, we created the company; it works pretty well in Europe, and it explodes, and it really grew very fast when we really opened the US market.
Well, you know, one of the things flying around that I always used to train my boys is the Big Mac Index, which was you know, very popular among the economists and MBAs, and you know, I wanted them to buy the Big Mac. You know, when we go to McDonald's, I would want to go there just to buy a Big Mac and only a Big Mac, so they could see the difference in purchasing power parity, things like that. But the other one was the Crane Index, and I taught them that one time, and they never forgot. I mean, you go into some cities like in Cambodia, and I mean, you could count 100 cranes out the window. And then you go to a lot of the older countries, like in Europe, and you could fly into Italy somewhere and not see a crane from the airport. And it just makes you think, why does a city in Cambodia have 100 cranes downtown, and why does, you know, the Rome not have any? And it's also a great gauge on the economy, because when they start taking down the cranes, I mean, you know, it's contracting. But let's jump into your dental monitoring. What was the solution that you were seeing? What were you seeing out there that said, okay, this is what we got to do? What problem are you solving?
The problem we are solving is basically what is our mission? What we wanted to try to create? We wanted to really create an extension of the dental office. We believe that dental offices should be focused on really clinical action, like seeing the patient, doing something actually inside the mouth. All the rest, check appointments, motivation of the patient, billing, recall, and all the action which is around the treatment as a clinical act. And especially if you take orthodontics, for example, which is check appointment, which is a big part of the appointment, can be done remotely. And it happened to be even better for the treatment, better for the patient, and this for multiple reasons. The first reason is because you don't use your chair time for nothing. It's the patient is coming. When today on the traditional orthodontics, you receive a patient and you just check if everything is okay, it's good. But if there is nothing to do, why the patient is on your chair? If you can evaluate remotely that everything is good, it's good for the patient. They are very happy to not come. And the doctor is also happy to not have a chair used for this. The second aspect is really surprise. In medical world, the surprise is our enemy. Okay, we don't want to have any surprise coming to the clinic. So what we created with dental monitoring is certainty. It means that whenever a patient comes to your office, you already know why he's coming. You already know the problem that you have to fix before they arrive. So you don't have anymore this emergency feeling when a patient arrives, they've got everything broken inside the mouth, and you say, oh, why you did not call me? And I booked only 5 minutes for you, and now I have 40 to an hour work to do on you. And this now disappear. When you have this situation, you know it by advance. You adapt your workflow, you adapt your day based on this patient coming, or you reschedule the patient at an appropriate moment. So you take out the surprise and you see your patient when you really need to see them. And on certain type of appliances, such as aligners, this has an amazing fit. Why? Because from the beginning of the aligner, there is something which is troubling lots of doctors. We ask to patients to change a liner on weekly basis. Before it was 2 weeks, and it was 10 days, and it will weekly, and some goes to 3 days. But we all know this. We want our patient to change a liner only when the aligner did the job, right? If the aligner don't do the job, you don't want them really to change the aligner. So if you could have a system which help you to drive this change of aligner, if you could have a system which drives the aligner, the elastic wear, to drive the cooperation of the patient, then you are very proactive with the patient and with your treatment. And this brings tons of efficiency, reduction of appointment, and patient engagement. And it's why we have been growing so fast.
And so, is that why Straumann is the partner? Because back in August of 2017, which was a pre-pandemic millennium ago, I mean, who can even go back 3 years after this? Is that why Straumann bought ClearCorrect? Because it's obvious to me in the macro numbers that, dentistry is a 200-year-old industry starting where you're at. And by the way, I'm still upset when I lectured there with all my boys. The Pierre Fichard Museum was closed for remodeling. I'm like, what? So they're all like, no worries, Dad. We're going to come back to Paris. I have to see that museum. So we went to the Louvre instead. But they, but the only... and by the way, that's where the Mona Lisa is, and the Mona Lisa is what everybody talks about. Oh my God, that is the most boring part of the whole museum. The museum is mind blowing. I mean, they have paintings the size of a ping pong. I mean, just huge paintings. I mean, it was. I could spend a week in that museum. It's just a walk through.
You can and you should. It's an amazing museum when you have the time, and especially it's a perfect moment to go there because there is nobody. So because there is nobody, you can really sit in front of painting for hours and you will not even be disturbed. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
But
to come back to your question about Straumann.
Yeah.
It's in 2017 when Straumann invested to us, we have spoken to most of the big player of the dental industry, and we have get very, very strong feedback from them that most of them were very interested in partnering with us. But there were one critical condition we wanted to have in the deal we did with a manufacturer. We wanted a deal where we really truly stay agnostic. Means we wanted to say to the partner, guys, we need your input in dental, we need your founds, but we don't want to be driven to monitor one specific appliances or to drive doctors to one specific appliances. And why? Because this is completely antagonist to the concept of monitoring. Monitoring works and it believes by doctors until it stay objective. It needs to be unrelated to the appliance. As soon as it's related to an appliance, it's not objective. It means that you can't have the judge and the lawyer in the same head. You need to have the two very separate. So Straumann was really pleased to this. They needed to access some of our AI technology, and they wanted to have access to this. So we give them access to our AI technology. But on the monitoring aspect, on all our portfolio product, they don't have any drive on how we monitor patient. We don't promote ClearCorrect towards Invisalign, towards Spark, towards Angel aligners or any aligners or any appliances. Every of the appliances fully represented on our platform. We don't do ads for anyone. We stay fully independent, and we will stay fully independent.
And that's very different than Align Technology and iTero. I mean, the iTero scan and the Invisalign, they don't want to play with other scanners and other technologies. It's more of they've decided to go with a closed system. And is that what you're saying, that you want to be an open system, more like Google and Android, as opposed to a closed system like Align Technology and Apple iPhone?
First, Apple is an open system. Invisalign decided to be a closed system. But again, I think we should not be judge, lawyer, and manufacturer and doing everything. It's not good. The dentist should be the driver. So we are a monitoring solution. So how come a dentist can select to monitor one Invisalign patient one a Spark patient, and one Ormco patient, one a ClearCorrect patient, whatever he wants, or hygiene patient, and they use different monitoring solution. It does not make sense. They will not have a 5-6 workflow different for monitoring patient and to create this virtual practice. They need to have something which is compatible with everyone. So we are just compatible with everyone. It's just because the patient count, not the technologies that you are monitoring.
So it basically sounds like it's kind of three functions: patient recruitment, patient conversion, and treatment monitoring. So on your website, if you go to dental, you call that /dental/monitoring, or you call it dental-monitoring? What do you call that?
Dental-monitoring.com.
Okay, dental-monitoring.com. I figured there was a fancy French word for it, so I didn't know what the fancy French word. But it says, under patient recruitment, it says, SmileMate offers you the possibility to communicate with new patients and to screen their oral health all remotely from your website. Generate new leads by integrating our ready-to-use plugin into your practice's website, as well as into Google and social media ads. Initiate first patient contact, increase your patient flow. Use our comprehensive AI-generated reports of patients' oral health to better recognize, triage, and book appointments with treatment recommendations. And centralized and HIPAA-compliant communication channels for you and your patients, centralized in one place. So just by reading that, this had to have a big boom because of COVID. I mean, you started this before the pandemic. You obviously didn't know the pandemic was around the corner, but was this a big gust of wind in your sales to had started a company, Teledentistry, before a pandemic?
It would be a lie to say that COVID did not bring us big traction. Yes, it had bring us a big traction. We went from pre-COVID, we were having around 200,000 patients on the platform. Now we are more than 500,000 patients on the platform. So yes, we have grew fantastically because of COVID. So to speak about the different products we have, SmileMate, Vision, and Dental Monitoring, everything is based on the same core engine, which is our artificial intelligence engine. Why artificial intelligence? It's because you can't scale without it. It's no way you can triage your patient into your inbound funnel when you've got patient through your marketing leads and etc. You don't want to have video call or checking picture manually for each of these patients. It's too much time. So we have created a system which gives you all this ability, video call, seeing your picture, etc., plug to an AI system which triage everything, which basically sort everything, create based on your own settings, a treatment recommendation and communication back to the patient, fully automated through this artificial intelligence. This is really how to acquire seamlessly patient without really involving too much the dentist at that stage. The second product is Vision. Vision is to convert patient. Patient comes to your practice and you want to give them more. This is more a marketing tool. This is you want to give them a very nice simulation of their smile without cheek retractor, or with cheek retractor they can see the progress inside. You want to show them the modality of treatment, braces, aligner, or whatever. This will create instantly a simulation of this. And again, using artificial intelligence, because you can't do this. You don't want to do any montage or PowerPoint things. It just appear on the modern platform, which is designed for it. And the last part, which is the monitoring. Again, patients are using our scanning services. They scan themselves. The AI do the triage, the detection of things, and then there is a communication flow, which is organized between the clinic and the patient, automatically and very robust, which is very important. As soon as you monitor lots of patients, you can't imagine to not have a very strong AI behind. Otherwise, you can't scale.
So dental monitoring, Vision, and SmileMate, and Dental Mind. That's all dental monitoring, right?
Dental Mind is Vision. Dental Mind is Dental Mind is the entity on the top of it. So Dental Mind is a company which have three branches. The first branch is which is patient acquisition, SmileMate, vision, patient conversion, and the last one, which is the monitoring aspect, dental monitoring.
Interesting. So Dental Mind is the parent company, and
Yeah.
it's the parent of Dental Monitoring, Vision, and SmileMate.
But this is an historical reason, because basically we created dental monitoring, the core product. It works very well, and then we spin off the technology to other products, and then at the end we were having dental monitoring and two other products, and so we needed to put it into a bigger umbrella, which is Dental Mind.
Yeah, and I think everybody is pro artificial intelligence because we've seen what natural intelligence does on Earth, and I don't even know what AI is going to bring, but I know what natural intelligence is. So are you optimistic on artificial intelligence? Because there are some really smart guys. Now, granted, they're old. I have to admit that the guys saying this are PhDs that are 80 and over. They'll say things like, Howard, they've been talking about this since 1950. And I had to. So I'm asking you, is it real or hype? Because like here's something that confuses me. And I'm a dentist. I'm not a programmer. I can't write one load of code. But I am smart enough to know that a guy like you, anybody who gets a PhD in biophysics, I mean, you start with math. That's not marketing, business, and communication degree. I mean, math is just wow. And then the first applied math is physics. And I know for a fact that the people who understand math and physics are scale smarter than everyone on up. I mean, and there are some people who say that, it's a lot of hype. Like I noticed that when my 1-year-old boy, my grandson Gunnar, he touched we were having a fire outside, and he touched it, and he ripped his hand back, and he never touched it again the whole 10 days I was there. But artificial intelligence needs big data and big sats, and they need like 10 million people to burn their hand before finally they realize don't touch it. And I'm sitting there thinking,
my God, so true.
I'm thinking my 1-year-old child or grandchild is smarter than AI. So, I mean, is it something that's 50 years away, 100 years away? Is it bleeding edge, leading edge, or do you think it's really here today and is finding applications today in 2020?
Yes, it's finding application. You imagine we are screening 500,000 patients every week. You scale it. So if we are screening so many patients, there is no way that you can't have artificial intelligence. We detect broken bracket, broken wire, poking wire, unseated aligner, missing buttons, and stuff like this. And we do this. We've got today from far on a scale which is probably 100-fold more than even Invisalign, probably the biggest database on Earth. We collect hundreds of millions of images every single week. Because when we scan a patient, we take more than 50 pictures every time they scan. So you imagine that this database, yes, as you say, we need millions of times the kid burning his finger into it. How we did, we were just lucky enough to have people who have trusted us. We were lucky enough to have sold the company, Harmony, to have sufficient funds to really pay for 3 years, people to click and learn on hundreds of millions of images that we have captured, offered the product for 3 years to capture sufficient data. Then, which have bring us to, we have used machine learning, deep learning, GAN, GAN or other type of artificial intelligence, and to build this automation. So today, yes, I believe that artificial intelligence it's there and it's useful. Now we should kill lots of myths. There is lots of hype around this, But we did not go into artificial intelligence because it's hype. It's just because we knew that without artificial intelligence, there is no way that you can scale this business. But now, let's not confuse. Artificial intelligence can't replace a human. It means that if you input your artificial intelligence with stupid things, the output will be stupid. So it's why we've got, I think we've got like 30 orthodontists in our payroll, which are working to make what we call validation, to check that always artificial intelligence are giving good result, and we pull out thousands of cases every month to check that there is no deviations and so on our results. And it works, and it just gives a result, but it's a lot of investment. It's a lot of investment.
I'm reading other applications in healthcare, like you're on your iPhone, and it you do that face. What is it called? Facial recognition technology.
Yeah.
And now they're measuring the pupils, so they can. I mean, they're starting to really measure a lot. Do you think this smartphone's going to start detecting a lot more health measurements?
Tons of things are coming in dermatology, for eye detections, eye disease detections. There is a very interesting technology where by screening your eyes, you detect that you've got some kidney problems by some discoloration of your eyes, just using artificial intelligence. I believe in artificial intelligence, but I believe that it will always and it will stay a complement of the human. It will never replace human, because at the end of the story, you need someone who takes the actual decision, who takes the actual risk on the clinical decision. And there is big failure also in artificial intelligence. Lots of companies have been investing billions of dollars into artificial intelligence for detection of cancer and stuff like this. And the trust was not there, and so they took so many years to penetrate market, and they are still very far. What is good with dental, it's the market is ready, the market is asking it, and the result is there. So I think yes, we've got good years in front of us.
And when you say AI, again, we're dentists over here. We're is that Python programming? Is that, a lot of dentists are asking about their kids. I mean, if AI is the whole future, would you steer your kid into learning Python? Is that going to be the language of AI, or not really?
So it's I think, thank you, Ort. I think it's the first time that somebody asked me this actual very precise question. So there is programming in general, okay, and then when you speak about artificial intelligence, you use what we call frameworks of artificial intelligence. There is lots of frameworks. Google have created its own frameworks, and there is lots of frameworks. Frameworks are environment of development where you will feed this environment with data, and it will help you to create artificial intelligence. For DM, we had to play another way, because there were nothing really ready for us to do the artificial intelligence that we wanted. We could not use just the Google framework and so on. Why? Because we are doing artificial intelligence in the 3D environment and on the 2D environment, and most of the artificial intelligence was just on the 2D environment. So one of the biggest investments that we have done was to create our own framework of artificial intelligence, which makes us pretty unique on the planet, to really combine 2D and 3D deep learning capacity and do this artificial intelligence. Now the code that is using, the actual coding language, there is Python, Java, there is C, there is a traditional language used in any type of programming.
That is amazing. I was talking to guy the other day, and I was saying, they always say in 1880, 80% of the planet was illiterate and couldn't read or write. And I thought to myself, well, from 1880, the next 50 years, one of the greatest growths of human history. And when so these illiterate people that couldn't read or write did pretty damn good for being illiterate, but it was just one skill they didn't have. And would you compare when they're talking about 1880, where 80% of the planet couldn't read or write, kind of to 2020, where 80% of the planet can't write a single line of code? Math is a language of science. English is the official language between scientists. It used to be German until World War II. Would you say that if you're not trilingual in English, math, and a computer language, that you're kind of illiterate?
I think so there will be. I think we are playing the futuristic here. Futurist. There will be for the next 20 years a big need in developers, a very, very big need. So yes, it might become a third language that is like every kid will be learning, and you will have to learn. But we see more and more. You hear me say the word framework. And framework make development more and more accessible to people, where there is tools and when what we call in development, design pattern means piece of code which pre-exists, library of code which pre-exists and help you to code pretty quickly. And so I think for the next 20 years, to be hardcore developer coding and etc. will still grow a lot. And in 20 years from now, I think you will be more designing an idea, and there will be solutions or software itself which will be by themselves creating the program that reflect your idea. So there will be program of programming that do things for you, and you will just have to express your idea on a far more easy way.
You said in a very interesting place of the global dental market, and I think the reason people love architecture and art and all this stuff is because you got the same human doing the same thing, and they do it so many different ways. I mean, I don't care if it's just something as simple as a shower. I'll never forget the shower I showered in Austria. I mean, it looked like it was engineered for like the space shuttle. I mean, it had so many knobs and valves, and I just thought to myself, holy moly, they made the biggest mountain out of a molehill. But it's just cool looking at the variants. What types of variances do you see in the dental industry around the world? I mean, you got offices all over the place. I mean, my gosh, where are your offices? You got them in Austin, London, Paris, Hong Kong, Sydney. What is the variances that stand out in your mind looking around the world like that?
So I think more than our offices, we operate in more than 30 countries. We've got salespeople in more than 20. But what we see, and this is absolutely amazing, and we work already with university, but I really invite every manufacturer, university, every dentist, if really it's got an interest into this, because we see how doctors treat patients all across the globe. We see that there is very different pattern. I can assure you, a Japanese doctor is not treating the same way that is doing a French doctor, or a German doctor, or an American doctor. I don't say that there is any good or bad, but there is lots of philosophy. And at the end, the only goal is the patient perception, how the patient feel about his treatment. But us on DM, we see this because we monitor patient on a weekly basis. So we see this different. We see the different techniques, the different approach, different communication scheme that they use for Japanese doctor or for Australian doctors. And it's very interesting. So I really would like to invite university to dig into our data and without branding. We will take any branding, of course, because we don't want to promote any company. And to really take the core of what are the different philosophy which perform more or less, and to feed the community with this. I think would be great to use the data that we have leveraged since 6 years now, and to give this knowledge and to do lots of publication. We start, but it's pretty new. This business intelligence and clinical intelligence that DM can provide. I think there is a great future. So thank you for asking me this question, because I think it gives me the opportunity to really say to people, please don't hesitate to contact dental monitoring and really to build with us project of learning from our data sets.
So I noticed you. I mean, I contacted you. You didn't contact me. Again, to my homies out there, this is my hobby. This is not money. How much money did you give me to come on the show today?
Zero.
Nah, you didn't get the memo. You're supposed to send me a case of red fancy French wine. But I contacted you.
I will.
Because no. I started noticing. I'll just give an example. I'll call out one of my homies. Dabney Orthodontics. I mean, you know, I see this on orthodontist websites the most, where you go on their website. Here's a case on drdabney.com. He's an orthodontist, and it says right there, technology, dental monitoring. And then he says, what I was getting at is I see this mostly, I became aware of it mostly in orthodontics, and after the COVID, but it says it says on his website, with the dental monitoring app for your smartphone, you can now send pictures or video using a mouth prop for virtual appointments. What is dental monitoring? This is the world's first monitoring solution in orthodontic care. Your smartphone is able to capture tooth movements and relay them to your orthodontist. Your orthodontist is able to communicate any concerns with treatment straight to your phone. Benefits of our practice offering dental monitoring: faster treatment times, fewer appointments required, closer monitoring of hygiene, alerts the office of potential issues. But would you say it's it started out as mostly an orthodontic play? Because you started in lingual orthodontics, and I just noticed it on orthodontist websites mostly.
Of course, there is multiple reasons for this. The first is my background is from ortho, so my friends are from ortho. I've got most of my friends are orthodontists. And there is something also which is very core into our technology is we are a true differentiator today. Doing aligners is not anymore a differentiator for an orthodontist. There is not many techniques now that are really appearing like being a differentiator everybody do aligner. So dental monitoring was really the next step is growing your clinic, was really the next step that you bring in an ortho clinic, which you bring a new services, which is truly disruptive, which is truly changing your workflow, the values that you offer to the patient. But you will ask why you need again to differentiate yourself. It's because the world of orthodontics have changed a lot with the DTC market, with the direct-to-consumer market. And there is this big movement into DTC, and the orthodontists feel absolutely threatened by the fact that this DTC were taking a lot of market share. So they needed to react, and they reacted by offering even more services, even being more close to the patient. And dental monitoring is probably the best tool for this.
Okay, well, I got to tell you that you got to say hi to Bill. That's Bill, the orthodontist, Dr. Dabney. His name's Dr. C. William Dabney, but he goes by Bill. So shout out to Bill.
I know him personally. It's a great guy.
Oh, you know him personally?
Yes, I know him personally. He's a great friend of me. He's a great guy. Is an early adopter of DM. He has been working with DM, I think, since now 5 years. I love the gentleman. He's really a gentleman. We very often have some calls where he gives me his impression, where we are going, is it good, is it wrong, what we should do for the next move, etc. I really value a lot the guy.
I'm going to go back to the direct consumer because there's an honest question that I get asked, and we have to come up with the best answer. I mean, it looks like as far as when you do a competitive analysis, I mean, dentists, my gosh, they have a meltdown if they get a bad Yelp review. These DSOs, they get write-ups by big magazines attacking him. And, I don't think there's any dentist that ever cried on a Yelp review that could even live through something like that. But the orthodontists, man, God, they're getting attacked from direct to consumer, Smiles Direct Club, all this technology. You got 4 kids. We both have 4 kids, so we're equally insane crazy. If your kid was looking at the 12 specialties in dentistry, he was coming out of dental school, he's looking at the 12 specialties, would you say, I wouldn't go into ortho, man? That's going to be like going in the jungle. I mean, that's the most brutal place.
Absolutely not. I will say go there. You know what? Look, my partner, William, which is, he was my early investor in Harmony, he is my investor into DM. Don't believe, you've got 6 kids. You've got 6 kids. And he's pushing them to dentistry and he's pushing them in ortho. Okay? He's a medical doctor himself. And I believe in orthodontics more than ever. Smile Direct Club and the like, of course, they are a disruption, but they grow the market. It's just a fact. Now, after years, we have seen that the orthodontic market have grown tremendously and that everybody is basically leveraging the marketing dollar and it generate more leads to even to orthodontists. The orthodontic market has been growing 6, 7, 8% every year since I'm into the industry. That never slowed down. Maybe this year with the COVID, it's pretty bizarre period, so I can't know the number yet. But I don't see them really at the actual threat. They are a perceived threat, but they are not an actual threat to orthodontists. The population will still want to have doctors at the end of the story. And you see something very interesting. You see that they are all going to there. We have seen a line going to the DTC sector, and we are seeing the DTC sector going to the professional channel. So I think it will be becoming more and more confused, but the market, the pie is growing tremendously. So I'm really pushing my kids to go to dentistry and especially to orthodontics.
And the other thing, you don't have to be Charles Darwin to figure out that the number one goal of a species is to survive long enough to reproduce. You go back 1,000 years. People are always talking about everything that went wrong in history, and it's like, you do know that they did their job because we're here talking about it. We go extinct, and to be as pretty as a peacock, when it goes into the mating rituals and how they want to look, and it's so non-dental and it's so just beauty. And I was amazed looking at the numbers when I was lecturing in China, how much the women were spending 40% of their disposable income on health and beauty and makeup and just things to make them look pretty. And the other thing in ortho in Asia, which I couldn't even believe, but the intense focus on, they put their nose from their finger from their nose to their chin, and if their lip touches their finger, it's out too far, and they need to do canine extraction, pull their teeth back. But all I'm trying to say is this is a market that will never go away because the species' number one goal is to attract a mate, and they will literally do anything to increase their game theory chances of landing a mate. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The dentistry is a $500 billion market, one of the biggest market on the planet, and it will continue to grow because awareness, quality of life is really depending on how you feel about yourself. And the smile is one of the most important reflection of your good feeling. And I love to smile. I want to see my kids smiling. So my kid, if they've got any dental issues, I will make sure that they get fixed. And all parents will like this. And now, what is really the specificity? If we come back to the DTC world, the DTC world has been offering to patients the convenience and the cheap. Okay? Orthodontists are offering the quality. Now that with dental monitoring, you can offer the convenience and the quality. Because you can say to your patient, you know what? You come to me because you want a quality treatment. You want a supervised treatment with a dental professional that is really doing stuff for you. But you want the convenience too. And the convenience is not coming to my office every month or every 2 months. It's coming whenever it's actually necessary, only when needed. And this is what we bring on the table. The second, patient lead generation. Dentists have to fight on the same level in terms of digital marketing, etc. And so if they don't use tool to do it, they can't compete. So SmileMate is a tool for them to compete, to spend the marketing dollar, and through SmileMate, not giving us marketing dollar, no, but using the tool to manage these leads and to leverage them at max. So we give them the tool to bring back the convenience and the patient flow that the DTC is using today, and we bring them to their offices.
And where do you recommend on the on your website to call this out, to make it alive? Is it when you go to click to schedule a complimentary exam, and is that when you recommend that they use this teledentistry? Or
so what's happened if you take most of our users, what they do most of the time, for example, they most of the ortho I know or dentists I know do digital marketing campaign, okay, and they will do, okay, do you want to know better about your, do you want to know more about your smile, do you want to do a virtual consultation, do you want to see if you're suitable to this type of treatment, etc. And what they do when they do this ad on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, guys, invest into TikTok. It's crazy. We've got some clients which I push them to invest into TikTok, and they've done hundreds of thousands of followers. Look, TikTok Doc, for example, it got like 500,000 followers already. And they put the banners, which have this virtual call, and patient click on it. Now it's why you need artificial intelligence. Patient click on it, and you've got shoppers at that stage. They are not patient at all. They are really digital marketing leads, so they are very cold leads. And they go through the funnel, they do the scans, they get this report generated automatically by AI. There is a doctor which can just click, oh, I'm agree about this report, and send back to the patient an actual pretty accurate and comprehensive report and treatment proposition. But now what is great, it's you can do it at scale. If you want to take all these marketing leads, which are pretty crappy in general, and you want to spend too much time on it, you're not spending good time here. But if you've got this artificial intelligence triaging you, doing all the job for you, and just you need to check and click, and boom, then when it's actually becoming a more hot lead, then you really start to invest time with this patient. Then you start to compete with DTC, which are spending hundreds of millions of dollars into this. And then you need to offer them the conveniency of the teledentistry, and this is what dental monitoring comes into play. Patient, you know what? I will be your doctor in the park. I will be there 52 times every year to check if your treatment is progressing well. And I will ask you sometime to come at the clinic to make some actual needed adjustment, refinement, rebonding, or whatsoever. And this is really quality of care. Every single week they have a check, and doctor needs to interact with these checks only when needed, which is really the value.
Well put. Which kind? Well, first of all, you said and you said the word invest. I mean, I know my homies are thinking, okay, how much is this? Come on, Philip, how much is it? Is it $1 million, $1 billion? And so how much is this? And what is it? What would you do? How much does it cost? And is it something you download to plug into your iPhone? Is it an app? Talk about cost and implementation.
Of course. So we've got all across the globe, we've got what we call implementation specialist and account manager. So they work in teams. For the SmileMate is $250 per month, unlimited usage on your website. Unlimited. There is a limit, but nobody reached the limit. It's why I say unlimited usage, because we needed to put a limit that we don't have a factory putting everything into one account. So it's one account per doctor. It's $250, and basically they get their leads and they manage it. Then you've got the monitoring part, which is per patient. Basically the patient can scan as much as you need. It's the same price. And it's roughly $8 per month per patient. So we say $8 per active patient. So across the treatment, if you take 10 months of treatment, you will pay $80 for a patient. If you take 20 months, you will pay $160 per treatment. So it's really proportionate to the difficulties of the treatment, which makes sense, because if you normally an orthodontist will quote longer treatment more expensive and shorter treatment less expensive.
Do you think the price is a barrier to entry, or is that a non-issue? I mean,
it's actually the ROI is so big. We've got an average of 40% appointment reduction, 40% appointment reduction. So just one appointment covers the cost. The PPE by itself, look guys, you just take. How much do you spend in PPE every time you see a patient coming to your practice? How much? $5-10 in PPE? I'm just speaking with PPE. I'm not speaking with all the rest. Every time you do a virtual consult with us, with this automation and screening and so on, you spend nothing. So just on the PPE, it covers the cost. Now, if you take on reduction of chair time, if you take on the convenience for the patient also, this is great. And also lots of doctors use us for post-treatment monitoring, retention, where they say to the patient, you know what, for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, we will have a flat fee every year that we, for $400, for example, will continue to monitor you to see if everything stays stable, etc. And if there is any problem, we will fix it. But the rules is until you scan. If you scan, you're protected. If you don't scan it, you decide to go out from the system. So now I'm not anymore responsible. This is an actual very strong new revenue for orthodontists, because imagine every new patient generating an additional $400 per year, on the top of what they were charging. It's pretty great. So we believe that the cost is literally not an issue. Otherwise, we will not have grown so much. Compared to the quality and the completeness of the service that we offer.
Another thing about ortho I want to remind the kids about is, I was born in 1962, and back then, families were so much larger back then. I think that the average American family had 4.5 kids. We both have 4, and now it's dropped to, 2. It's gotten half, but it used to be the most messed up child who could never get married, who looks like they could eat corn on the cob through a chain link fence, got saved, just one child. And now it's like a rite of passage. Like, when you only have 2 kids and a stronger economy, every kid gets ortho. But they seem to be getting them young at the pediatric with space rapid palatal expanders, again in high school with the orthodontist. And then after their first divorce, they go get fixed up again. But it looks like ortho is, and especially with clear aligners, almost everybody is going to start getting ortho, and it's going to be affordable, and they're not just going to get it once. They're going to get it twice, maybe 3 times. I think that the market for orthodontics is just, I think it's explosive.
It is explosive. It's we see it. We just see it. We see it on the usage of dental monitoring, where we see our age groups, where obviously there is still more kids doing teens doing ortho, but the adult group is pretty amazing. And you know what, Howard, after this call, I will send you our repartition of age group, and you will see a funny bump at 30. So there is really this big bump, 14 years, which is the top of the curve. Then there is slow down up to our oldest patient is something like 70 or 80, but it's very small numbers, of course. And at 30, exactly the year 30, not 29, not 31. At 30, there is a little hump like this. And it seemed that at 30, people say, oh my God, what my life is happening. Should I fix myself? And then when we get older, 40, 50, no, okay, never mind. I've got a bad smile, but never mind. I'm good.
Or I don't want to ask this question because I'll be admitting to something illegal, but I was on OrthoTown the other day only because I own the website, but I'm not allowed to go. You're not allowed to go on there unless you're an orthodontist, and that's cool, you know, whatever they want to do. But I noticed one of my orthodontic idols, a friend that I've had on the show, Barry Glasser, he talked about that back in November 29. Again, that seems like a century ago, November 2019. And,
Yes.
you know, I can still remember around Christmas, you know, sitting around and listening to music, and you're hearing these stories about this virus in China. And, my gosh. But anyway, this was the month before that, so no one probably remember. But he said when they asked him, let's talk about your top products, dental monitoring was number one. I mean, he just loves that stuff. My gosh.
So first, Barry is a great guy. He's a great clinician. He's a good friend also. We become a good friend through our relation. And we have now created a community of fans using DM. How we did this is basically because we have been created with orthodontists. You have to know that more than 100 orthodontists have invested money into DM. More than 100 have invested a pretty significant amount of money, by the way, more than $20 million, just the orthodontist, into DM to grow this technology because they knew that this technology will help them to really go to the next level. Barry is not one of them. He's not an investor into dental monitoring, but very early he believed in the concept of remote monitoring, become a heavy user, and now he is one of our KOLs and educator around the principle of monitoring and so on. And I think he's a fan. He became a fan of the dental monitoring very quickly by seeing what kind of happiness he brings to his patients.
Yeah, he is a amazing guy, and
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, and I also love he's this gorgeous bald guy with the two big earrings. He's got that Mr. Clean
Every
look
bald
on.
people are amazing, right?
I know. Do you think there's something that us two bald guys love Barry, the bald guy, but he's a much fan. When you do those earrings, did you ever see the Mr. Clean commercials? I mean, I didn't know. I don't know if they really had those in France. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, does he not look like Mr. Clean? I mean, that is just
he looks like Mr. Clean. It is like in French, it's Monsieur Propre. He looks like Mr. Clean for sure, but he probably have a bit more brain than Mr. Clean.
Yeah, but
he's a fantastic guy. We've got a series of a series of very close friends in orthodontics, and he's one of them.
Yeah, and he's just a great guy. My gosh, so I was wondering the culture in France and Europe. Do you think the direct to consumer market? What do you call that market? Direct? What do you call it? DC?
Direct to consumer. The same in English. DTC.
You call it DTC? Is that what you're calling that? D or D2C?
Direct to consumer market. The
D2C.
Smile Direct Club are called DTC, direct to consumer market.
Oh, DTC is what you're saying.
Yes.
DTC. Do you think there'll be a lot more regulatory pressure when you're an American? It kind of seems like that the United States is a little too regulatory lax, a little more Wild West, and Europe kind of has a more regulatory deal. Do you think they'll curb direct-to-consumer orthodontics, or do you think the genie's out of the bottle, you're not going to put this thing back? With all the advancements in AI and technology, the technology will catch up with the being seen by an orthodontist in the office, or where do you think this is going?
Very good question. DTC is going to happen everywhere. There will be market where it will come last, but it will still come. Country where it will come last will be probably country like Germany, France, Italy, where our regulatory bodies are very, very conservative and very protective to the profession. Sometime too much, which creates some bizarre thing, which really the industry cannot really progress. But it will come in Europe. Of course, your US is I will not say leading in this environment. In this particular question, I will not say leading for the DTC, but is opening new vision. Is very often the case of US. But I remark that US is very often the first to correct himself. It's for us it's now a French guy speaking. It's not really an American. I'm more in US than in France, but it's really my French spirit speaking. When you look at a politician in France, or when you see the media, or when you see the press and the culture in France, we are very conservative in general, and we don't really self-criticize ourselves. What is really, for me, always amazing in the American culture, you can do things that we can't understand, but in the opposite way, you admit it. You admit that, okay, we are doing crazy things, but we are okay with it and we will correct it. Us, we don't accept our mistakes. It does not exist. We put them under the carpet and it does not exist. It's why you are so strong in the US. It's because you have this ability to self-criticize yourself. You've got these cultures where you critique your own government, your own systems. Really, it's like a part of your culture, and it's how you progress, because people are self-critic far more in US than they are in Europe. Now, if we come back to the dental environment, I think it's pretty much the same. I think orthodontists, dentists in US are capable of adopting technology far quicker, but to drop them also far quicker. They realize when a technology is not working, it does not worth the calorie, they just drop them. In Europe, it will take more time, but when we stick to a technology, even if it's not great, we stick with it for a long time.
A lot of Americans, haven't gone around the world, and a lot of them are still in dental school listening to. But to just give you some examples of some shocking variances around the world that you might not think about, I remember clear back in 1998, I came out with my 30-day dental MBA. It was a big 30-day VCR program, and now you can go to YouTube, just put in Dr. Fran's 30-day dental MBA. It's still watched. Download it even on iTunes like 1,000 times a month. But kid dentists were listening to that all around the world, and they actually got arrested in Romania and Hong Kong. I'll never forget the calls, because neither me nor that poor dentist in Hong Kong, I mean, you just think, you see all these other people advertising, and my God, they started doing what I was recommending and advertising, and it was illegal in 1998. I mean, when you talk about conservative, I mean, there's places in Canada where, my gosh, I mean, there's still a lot of conservative areas around the world.
Oh, and, I can give you a literal example. I have lived myself with Harmony, for example, before dental monitoring. So we were selling Harmony all across the globe, and so it's digital orthodontics. It's we have an equivalent of CleanCheck, where the orthodontist is looking at the case, validating the setup, and so on. US, Europe were pretty similar. We design the setup, we send them through a software, they check it, validate it, communicate with the technician, and we produce the case. Japan, you will not believe what I will say. For every single case, we design the case, we print the setup, and there were a dental technician going to the office of the doctor, showing the model, having a discussion with the actual the orthodontist, saying no, this is no, the occlusion, no, I want to try, no, nothing digital. We had all the platform, no, they wanted to have these things into the end. And for big customers, we were sending technicians to their clinic to have them approve the setup. Can you imagine the difference in terms of adopting technology? And they were our biggest lingual customer, and they were the biggest in volume by far.
Well, and now there's a lot of other companies. What like say Candid? I mean, there's my gosh. I mean, it seems to me that there must be 40 different clear aligner companies out of the gates. As soon as those patents went extinct, I mean, there were so many. Do you think any of those are going to, I mean, obviously, Align Technologies and Invisalign is the McDonald's. Who's going to be the Burger King and the Wendy's and the In-N-Out Burger?
They are already. Dental monitoring, we work with more than 20 aligner companies across the globe. There is lots of alternatives today on the planet. Some are working very well, some are less working good, and I will not jump as dental monitoring to criticize any of them, because it's really, as I said from the very early beginning, we are an agnostic platform, and we have one rules: it's we never promote or critique a technique. So there is alternative. We've got more than 20 type of aligners inside the system that which is compatible with DM and with artificial intelligence of DM. Align, of course, is the biggest player of the planet.
But you're working with 20 clear aligner companies right now.
More than 20.
Oh my gosh! And do you think this is 2020? Do you think in 25, how many do you think there will be?
So it's exactly what happened for braces. There will be a big growth of number of aligner company. Probably another 20 will come. And then there will be a big collapse in terms of number of companies, because the quality will be the main driver, the quality, the consistency, the supply chain, the pricing, the offer, and the one which will be the ones which will be capable of offering the best of this will survive, and the rest will die. So at the end of the story, I think it's like braces company, probably between 10 to 15 aligner company on the planet will share the market.
I want to try to get your feet to the fire on Invista. I want to see if you agree with this, but you know, you don't always understand why things happen, but you recognize a pattern. I'll never forget when I was young. Siemens owned Sirona, and their CEO thought it was overweighted in healthcare or whatever. They spun it off, but the building didn't move. It was still in Austria. But it was almost like the kids left home and went to college, and the morale was high. They weren't micromanaged, and my God, their next 20 years was explosive. And then and then just accumulated with they got married to Dentsply, and you know they're just big and they're high tech. And they have a clear aligner, Sure Smile. Do you think that's the second most major player behind Invisalign? Do you think because of all they're owned by Dentsply Sirona? Is that a big horse to deal with?
Yes, I think Dentsply Sirona is doing a great job with their aligners as much as Spark is a great competitor and is doing a great job. ClearCorrect is keeping up and progressing, investing a lot. There is in China, there is Angel Aligner, which is doing a great job too. Invisalign, which is everywhere on the planet and continue to make innovation and works very hard to bring to people this good attitude. And I'm saying this knowing that these guys wants to invest into monitoring also. So, but I'm not afraid, because I believe that the market will recognize quality and completeness of offering, and what we do is compatible with everyone, and we don't want to tie doctors to any
right, and that's called channel conflict. So you kids watching it, it takes a bold man to be able to critique, his partners, his customers. I mean, it's tough. But where I was going with that Siemens, where they spun off, Sirona, and it just exploded after they deal. I'm kind of seeing the same pattern with Danaher, where they decided they didn't want to be in dental. So they spun off their whole dental and Invista, and that which included Noble Biocare, Cavo, Kerr, and Ormco. And so I'm thinking Amir is a really smart guy. And so are you kind of thinking that Danaher's or the Invista Holding is going to kind of be like Siemens, where it'll have explosive growth? Because, I mean, could you imagine being a company?
I think it has been a great move. Probably the reason of doing this is a very pragmatic valuation move, because dental industry is very, very highly valued for stock market. So to be tied to something else, which is globally, the multiple are less than what we can observe in dental, was not making sense. So they spin it out as soon as the size of it was sufficient. And I think it was a great decision for them in terms of the shareholder value.
So just to recap, you're saying medical shares were trading at a higher multiple than dental shares?
No, the dental shares are traded very high. Very high. Look, Align is close to 500.
Yeah, so you're saying that they spun off because the multiples of the rest of the company, Danaher, were so different than the dental?
Yes.
And the dental was actually higher?
It's my vision. And now, hey, come on, I'm not.
No, it's a standard MBA deal. I mean, I've watched Shine. I've watched Stan Bergman and Shine do this literally 60 times in my life. And what that means is if your stock's trading in a multiple of 10, and your company has $1 earnings, if he buys your company, his company is now worth $10 more. So if he buys your company for anything under 10, if he buys it for 5, he just doubled his money by buying your company. So the stock market multiple is everything. And when you got a high multiple, you can buy cheaper companies, knowing that, say, EBITDA, earnings before interest, depreciation, taxes, amortization. If I buy you at an EBITDA of 5 and my stock's trading at a multiple of 10, my God, I'm just going to do mergers and acquisitions all day long, and that's why Stan Bergman's done 60 of them plus. I've lost count. So, but still, though, I wonder if just being alone and free with Invista. You just think they'll have more freedom to innovate and try things?
I think they will have much more freedom to innovate. I think it's a great decision they did. It brings more value for the shareholder. It's bringing more independence to the management, to the operation. They even spin off then a Spark from Ormco recently. So to give to the aligner company even more freedom to operate and more funds and so on and so on. So I think Invista is moving in the right. Amir is doing a great job. Is literally doing a great job for his company.
My gosh!
I don't have any contract with any one of them. I'm working with every one of them because we are accepting the treatment on the platform, but they are not paying us, and we are not paying them on anything, as we don't with any company.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, my gosh, I asked you for an hour. What time is it there, by the way? It's 5:30 p.m. here. What time is it there?
1:30 a.m.
Oh my God! Did you stay up just for me?
Yes, with pleasure.
Oh my gosh, you're too kind.
I'm working 16 hours a day, so it's not like me.
Well, I just thank you so much for coming on the show. It was just an honor when I got the email from you, said, "Yeah, you come on the show." I was like, "Yay!" I was all I was so happy, and love what you're doing. And last final question: the pandemic, I mean, it obviously exploded telemedicine. I mean, and gosh, on Dental
Mhm.
Town, I don't think anybody ever talked about it until the pandemic. Now it's just, it's everywhere. You can't go anywhere. Do you think there's a vaccine around the corner? Do you think this pandemic is coming to an end with a fancy high tech vaccine, or do you think that's pretty pie in the sky and that we'll be living
So
with this all of 2021?
two answers, two level in my answer about this. Yes, a vaccine will be coming in one year, I think. In reality, okay, there is lots of announcements and stuff, and but as a biophysician, I can tell you that government will not put a massive load of vaccine with and take the risk of big problems without proper testing and proper securing things and so on and so on. So I believe that mass access to vaccine will be between July and September next year, which is already an overperformance from anything we have seen in the history of medical. And we have to thank all these companies, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Sanofi, and so on, who have done a great job and making great money also to help us on this. Now on the teledentistry side, I would say before COVID, we were a nice to have, an answer of the patient experience, an extension of the virtual practice. Now dental monitoring become a must-have in lots of dental practices, because it will stay. Even if you take out the COVID, the new generation of patients will not want to come as much as they wanted in the past to come into a clinic. So please adapt. It's for you. There is now more and more teledentistry company coming into the party. We are from far and with no arrogance the most relevant, because we've got the most experience on it, and we work since 6 years on this domain, and it's not an easy task. You don't invent yourself in 2 or 3 months or 6 months to become a comprehensive, complete solution on the teledentistry. And we wish every dentist to really equip themselves with the appropriate level of access to patient remotely. It's important for them, I think. The COVID will come every year. If it's not the COVID, they needed to differentiate themselves. They need to scale the clinic, and it's the new trend. It's like, I would say, I'm sorry to compare this to this. It's like, you remember 20 years ago, people were saying, "Oh, Amazon, going to die. Online shopping, it's going to die." Some shops were doing online shoppings. Then some shops were having less and less store and having more and more online shopping. And then even now, shops have only showrooms and lots of online shopping. And now we see that the biggest shops are just online. They don't even have any showrooms. So what I'm telling you is, people can blind their eyes, but the remote access of care is happening. We have seen this massive merger in US with a $40 billion valuation of Teladoc. This is happening to dental. So dental monitoring is one of the players, is probably the biggest today. We are the biggest for sure today, and will remain the biggest for years, I hope. But this is is going to stay, it's going to grow and adopt it. We'll be there to help you. We've got a tremendous team of 300 people to serve you and to help you to grow.
So then if Teladoc, I mean, back to that stock multiple, if Teladoc called you today, would it be an exit strategy? I mean, what is your exit strategy? 1 + 1 = 3?
So it's a good question. We have been investing more than $100 million into DM already, with the founders and VCs and stuff like this, and doctors. We had received multiple time offers to be buyout. But it's not the strategy of the founders. We have both founders. We have sold companies prior, so we are okay. And there is something very deep in us. You can't sell twice your dream. You can't access twice to something, a new market. We have created a market. We have a dream in front of us. I've got a beautiful family. I've got a beautiful house, beautiful life. I want to live my dream up to the end. So if I can be one of the top player of dental in the next 2 to 5 years and make all the work, invest all the money I can to do it, I will do it. And I'm not going to sell my dream just for millions of dollars now. It does not make sense in my spirit. I'm still young. I'm still 40. And again, you can't sell twice your dream. So I want to enjoy the ride. I want to enjoy the ride. Or I want to buy dental tongue. You will say, fuck, no, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this to meet clever people, to speak to them, to know new things, and so on. This is the same for us. Most of the people that have joined the company have made tremendous career already. We have welcomed recently a great guy from the dental industry, Frank Hem. I would not even have guessed one day that I would be able to hire a guy like this. Frank M was top management of one of the biggest dental company, and he decided to come to work for us. Not for the money, for the road trip, to success, to build this giant market that we have in front of us.
So well, it sounds like I said earlier that you and I each have 4 babies, and obviously I was wrong. We each have 5. I mean, our companies are our baby.
Exactly. And thank you, Howard.
This is I just want to give you one piece of advice in your darkest moment is remember, when you want to take all 4 of your children and drown them, that someday my 4 children have made me 6 grandchildren, and the grandchildren are even better than the children. So remember.
Don't say this. Remember, you will have some phone call now. Come on back. What did you say?
So when you want to give up and throw away your kid, don't worry. They're going to make grandkids. The grandkids are even better. But you're right. It's the journey. It's the fun. And that's the way.
Is a great company. You should come. You should come to the company to see the spirit of the people. We are not sharks. We are true lovers about what we do. The ambience, the people that we recruit, we just love what we do. It's just maybe it might be bizarre or a bit bucolic, but we just love what we do. And there is no way that people will stop us from doing what we do.
I'll come back, but this time I'm not getting in the airplane till I already know the Pierre Fichard Museum is back open. They were doing this big remodel. And when I was there, also, if you have next time you're talking to a corporate lawyer, the Pierre Fichard's book needs to be a book online, but no one will do it with Pierre Fichard or GV Black because they don't know who owns the material. I'm like, dude, it's 200 years old. But I think it would be so cool to have an audiobook for free on your website, Pierre Fichard's book, and then 100 years later, GV Black, because I bought the first 3 books by GV Black, autographed and signed, and a lot of times when dentists get frustrating, they don't realize that the smartest guy a century ago was drilling holes above the root to let the evil spirits out, and then when he was drawing the evil spirits, of course, they looked all like the court jesters of the time, but it just really makes you be more optimistic when you say, wow, that's a really smart guy, but they didn't read his book. And I wish somebody could get past the lawyers, because I'm ready to just sit down and read GV's Black books and do audio. But my lawyer said, nah, you can't do that. And when I was in France, they said, I couldn't find a single French dentist who even knew who owned the rights to that. But that book needs to be read and captured in audio, because the new generation, they'll do it if it's an audio book or a podcast or whatever. But
send me a link. I will do a post on my networks. I don't have personal access to I don't know, 40,000 dentist subscriber on your direct LinkedIn. It's like 45. I see. It's like amazing. I've got 1,000, but not as much as you. But I will still transfer them the link and we'll push it. I think it's a great. We should do this far more.
Yeah, because if you know, when you're caught up in the day, sometimes you can think, you know, what's wrong with the world? But when you look at it every century, just flip through the pages, you can
Mm.
see the trajectory is awesome growth. I mean, sometimes it's two steps forward, one step back, but man, just going from Pierre Fichard to GV Black to today, holy moly, dentistry is like a rocket headed to Mars.
It's the rockets. It's the dentistry market. Is you know, come on, we are lucky to be there. We are working and we give smile to people. Come on, is it not a cool thing? We give smile to people. Is there a big risk? No. Come on, let's be serious. There is no massive risk on life-threatening risk. So you give as much value than certain medical procedure and value to the life of people with less risk. On the top of it, the technology is just starting. So for an engineer like me, a researcher like me, so there is, you give smile, there is not so much risk, and there is a lack of technology. So there is so much room for me. Like you compare the dental world today to some neurology or cardiology. I can assure you the technologies or the big pharma, the technology is light years behind still. So there is lots of room. Doctors, you will have lots of many new tools coming in the future. You are so lucky because you have an industry which is changing every 2 to 3 years. There are change, disruption, things coming to make your profession even more interesting and not a boring place to be. And this for me, it's why I'm sticking to this industry since the early beginning. And I think I will stay in this industry up to my forever. I have no reason to move from dental.
Okay, then let's make it formal. You and I will marry dentistry right now until death do us part. We're married to
You know,
dentistry.
my stepmother is an orthodontist. Uh, my best friends, most of them are orthodontist or dentist. I myself created 2 companies, successful company in dentistry. I'm speaking dental every day. I'm having Scanbox on the table. I'm having literature from a GCO on my desk. I'm just living orthodontics and dental all day long. So I'm
Well,
stupid
thank you.
outside of dental.
Thank you so much for staying up so late in the morning and talking to us on Dental Town. I really appreciate it. And as soon as this pandemic is open and the airports are back open, I can't wait to meet you in France. And
Please do so. I will be honored to invite you in France or to our Austin offices, meet our team in US or in Europe, wherever you want, or London, whatever you prefer. We'll be pleased to welcome you, to see you the behind the scene of DM, which is really cool.
all right, well, have a great evening, and we'll
Thank
talk to
you.
you soon.